Our speaker today is a very special friend of mine. We have been in ministerial class together, and he comes from the Center for Spiritual Living, Fort Lauderdale, and is an ordained minister. And most of you do know him. His topic today is watching over children and fools. There are in society two categories of people from whom we do not expect much. Children, because we do not ask much from them, and fools, because we have judged them incapable of much. Our impulse is to place these on opposite sides of any social value scoring group. I wonder if God makes that distinction. I am pleased to introduce to you today Reverend Glenn Neal Stocking.
Recording in progress.
Thank you, Irene. First, I do want to say it is really fun to be with so many familiar faces and some new faces, which reminds me that, there's a time when things change in our life and we're a little sad. We recognize that the people we've been together with, we're not going to be together with for a while or something. There's some change, whether it's a job change or a retirement or graduation. And, I was talking about this with somebody the other day that said, gee, people have scattered all over the place. And, we came back to the conclusion that, well, if we don't scatter all over the place, we're not growing. We need to come together and have these common experiences, but then we do need to scatter to the four winds and take what we've learned with us so that more people can enjoy all of this. But it is good to come back and touch base once in a while and see those old familiar faces. So also, the other thing I want to mention before I really get into the talk today is there is a tornado warning out there, so if you need to jump under your bed during the talk, I won't feel offended if you suddenly disappear. You can watch the recording later, and that's your safety's more important than anything we have to say here this morning. All right, so Irene, you took the first paragraph off my talk, but that's fine. Let me just dive right into the.
I'm sorry.
No, I said it to you, so that's good. I wasn't just we're getting used to each other here. I wasn't sure how you did that, but that's great, because I do wonder if God makes that distinction, and let me set as an anchor point that our spiritual power includes the awesome responsibility of freedom of choice. And my computer's playing games with me, so bear with me a second. Wow, okay. I just have to move my script over a little bit. Okay, if I wrote it, I know it. Okay. Now, I know that arguments can be made for reincarnation or karma, or even simple fate influencing the circumstances of when, where, and how we are born. But for the purposes here today, I want to start with the assumption that children start with no choice. We do not choose to be born. We do not choose our birth parents, our birth family, our nation of birth, nor even our economic circumstances. It is no wonder we give children a pass. A pebble on the beach has more power to shape its world than a newly born child. So in our society, in our literature, in our general thinking, children represent the truly innocent. They are powerless to affect change. They don't know what they don't know, and they're motivated by really nothing more than their own survival or their own comfort. Holmes writes in The Science of Mind about a thing he calls innocent malpractice. His example is a mother lamenting for her poor sick child. He explains the universe or spirit is not influenced by these words of concern uttered by a sympathetic parent, but at the same time, a practitioner of the science of mind will want to assure their client that the child is in spirit whole and complete, so that the conscious energy surrounding the child recognizes the natural state of health. Now, innocent malpractice does not carry the intent of doing harm, and it is the energy of one's intent that the law of spirit acts on. In this example, the child may continue to demonstrate the illusion of sickness, not because it believes it is sick, but because it is getting attention it may not have enjoyed otherwise. The innocent child has discovered a device to alter its circumstances, and the universe has responded. When the practitioner, who may be either the parent recognizing the truth on their own or using the help of a spiritual guide, such as a minister or practitioner, when they establish a consciousness of spiritual truth, the whole and complete business that we talk about, the law of spirit creates a new atmosphere where the child does not need to appear sick to garner the healthy attention it needs. Sometimes children may seem insufferable to the casual observer, but when we remember how small their world really is, their self-centered perspective becomes understandable. Since the intent of a child's thoughts are mostly motivated by survival, spirit is more strongly influenced by the child's belief in its own importance and acts to create an environment that supports that belief. Of course, the child's ultimate survival depends on it acquiring certain social graces over time and learning that there are consequences to its choices. Holmes writes again in The Science of Mind, the law says that if our desires are destructive, we shall suffer them until the lesson is learned. And what is this lesson? It is simply that the universe is one and never two. It refuses to operate against itself. It is foolproof. Now, the grace period for children is relatively short. Cute and stupid will only get you so far. Successful children learn quickly they are not alone in their world, and getting their needs fulfilled requires some form of reciprocation. We become responsible for our conscious choices. Now, what are conscious choices, and how is it different from an unconscious choice? Say our example child is raised in a fear-based household. It is constantly bombarded by its social examples expressing distrust of others, blaming others for all the problems of the family. The child will likely develop beliefs that resemble those of distrust and learn to scapegoat others when things don't seem to work out well. But the destructive intent is not present in the child. This is an unconscious choice. Holmes writes further, how we long for a return of that simple trust in life which children have. In their minds there are no doubts. They have not yet been told they are sinners, destitute of divine guidance and spiritual life. Now fast forward of several years, our example child has learned the others are not really all that different. Their world has expanded, and their experiences extend beyond those of their birth family. The child now has additional information, some of which directly contradicts their original belief. Their next choice is now a conscious one, and the energy it directs manifests an experience directly related to its intent. If the child now chooses to blame others and think that others are inferior or responsible in some way for their misgivings, now they've made a conscious choice, and Spirit acts on that because their intent now is destructive in this case. They might also choose to think, my parents have been wrong all my life. My older brother is a jerk to believe that sort of thing about these people. I know these people. I like them. They're just like me. That too is a conscious choice. And Spirit acts on that intent of love and acceptance, and begins to bring experiences that reflect that into the child's life. God, or Spirit, if you like, looks after children, recognizing their innocence and lack of destructive intent. Spirit also blesses fools with a certain amount of grace. Now, here in this talk, a fool is any person who clearly is not a child, has some autonomy regarding their choices, but lacks common judgment when making those choices. Fools also enjoy strong judgments from society, and seldom to their benefit. Society tends to write them off. They're judged to have given up on themselves, and society's done with them. Fools do get to enjoy the consequences of their choices. Where they have chosen self-destruction, the universe has responded with an endless string of excuses and opportunities to create that experience. However, fools also seldom demonstrate the intent to be destructive. No one wakes up in the morning thinking, how can I really screw things up today? Fools have adopted, for a wide variety of reasons, a series of beliefs that have taken them so far down the proverbial rabbit hole that there doesn't seem to be any path back to daylight. Now, I have known fools who would give a friend the shirt off their back, but the same person seems to lack the capacity to show up for work with any consistency. Fools often manage to survive, but seldom appear to prosper. Although fools often find themselves headed toward a bad end by human judgment, Spirit has not judged them and continues to provide the outcome of their beliefs with all the love it can muster. And that is one reason we mere humans have so much trouble wrapping our heads around just what Spirit is and how it works. We like to judge things and just don't get that unconditional love. By definition, cannot do that. Spirit provides to all, raining on the just and the unjust alike. Children and fools, saints and sinners, all weigh the same on the spiritual scale. It is not that children and fools are special. It's simply that they are. We begin with the phrase, I am. I am an essential part of Spirit. I am fully unified with Spirit. I am equal to the power of Spirit. The power of Spirit flows through me as an individual and through everyone else in exactly the same way. Child, fool, diplomat, professor, doctor, it doesn't matter. Spirit sees us all exactly the same and looks out for children and fools. Spirit asks for nothing more. and nothing more from us than to remember that we can all use a little work. So thank you. I'd like to close with this treatment, recognizing there is but one power in this universe, one spiritual loving energy that flows through each and every one of us at all times. Whether we choose to use it wisely or not, this power is flowing through us. We are one with this infinite power. We can't escape it because it is infinite. It is everywhere. We have to be a part of it because there is nothing that is not spirit. So we train ourselves, we educate ourselves to learn this power is a loving energy. It gives us whatever we believe we deserve. It provides an atmosphere that reflects our beliefs. This power of love flows through each of us, and therefore each of us must recognize that power in those we see. We say we see the face of God when we look into a child's eyes. Well, we see the face of God when we look into the homeless person at the intersection asking for a handout. We see the eyes of God whenever we look into the face of another human being. This power for love is ours to direct. It is ours to create a universe that either reflects joy, forgiveness, creativity, and beauty, or one of judgment, because we have learned to judge as human beings. For hundreds of thousands of years, we have judged other people as worthy or not worthy of our concern and love. Spirit does not make that difference. We live better. We are more comfortable. We are more joyous when we remember we are creations and reflections of spirit. We don't get to judge because spirit doesn't do that. And my heart overflows with gratitude every time I remember that. And I have to remember it several times a day. But when I do, when I recognize that I am simply looking at the face of God, my heart overflows with joy, and I remember that a new and joyous experience is about to unfold before me, and I have no idea how that's going to look. And that's fantastic. And so it is. Thank you once again for your time.